Hey guys, it's me, the Afro Hamurai again. I'm standing behind the camera. Look, I'm over here. Yay. And I kind of thought I'd do a really quick video explaining a bit more about the sample import on the TR-6S because I thought I understood it, and then I read the manual and did some more digging and realized that it's actually quite a lot different to what I thought it was, and also what I thought it was from originally reading the manual. So it was a bit like kind of tricky a little bit. So I thought, hey, I'll do a video just to explain it to you guys real quick. So I'm going to do some really quick sample importing. So if I go into utility and import, I'm already in the sample section. So sample import. What this does is when you select folder, it lets you pick a folder and it actually copies the files from the SD card into its internal memory. But what happens afterwards is that when you import your samples, then when you go into the sample menu, this lets you look at all of the samples that you have imported. And if you go into sample edit, so if I pick this sample here, and if I go into sample edit, that's me actually editing this specific sample's name, and also the category. Now, I also did something cool here too. There we go. Yeah. So there are also user categories that you can give. So you know how I said before, I think it was in like the previous one where I was looking at settings, where you can tell a sample to live either a bass drum or a snare drum or something like that. If you wanted to, you could make a user um like category. So I could name one of these like CR78. I could name one of these MPC1, and I could have all of my samples for like things set into separate user bits. So I could really do quite a bit of customization with the way that my samples are organized, right? You might think that this is good. It's to be honest, I'm saying you might think this is good. This is actually pretty cool. It does mean that if you have like a relatively small amount of samples and you wanted to put them in, you can do. The gotcha is that because you have to do this realistically like one at a time, and there isn't really a way that I've seen to like batch organize multiple samples at once. If you have a lot of samples on your SD card and you want to import those, you haven't got a way to like batch import folders, you haven't got a way to batch put anything into specific places, you're kind of left with the TR-6S, at least from my knowledge, being the only way that you can adjust all of these. Which means, if you haven't figured it out yet, that if you have lots of samples on your SD card that you like, you're going to be taking a long time organizing them all on the TR-6S. You'll be able to use them no problem, but organizing them is going to be such a pain. That's kind of your biggest thing. The second thing is that the amount of samples that you can use on the TR-6S isn't limited to the size of the SD card in the TR-6S. It's actually limited by the amount of space the TR-6S has in it. Now, I've put in, I think, like 60 samples or something like that. So I think in utility, I can check in optimize. So at the moment, I've put like around about 60, I think 45, 60 samples in. And I have 84% space. They were drum samples. I think when I last checked folders, that was like around about 12 to 13 megabytes per folder of samples. So I've used around about like 60 something megabytes, and I have 84% free of my sample storage on the TR-6S. Now I haven't done the maths yet, so I'm going to do some really quick maths, and then I'm going to insert an editing version of me into this to tell you about what amount of storage that kind of means it has. Hey guys, it's me editing Afro Hamurai from the future. I've just been up with my virtual whiteboard. From my calculations, you have about 375 megabytes of live space that the TR-6S can save samples to and then recall and play them. It doesn't mean don't get an SD card for it. It just means that like be ready to have to remove and then add samples if you use lots of samples on the TR-6S. Which brings me on to the next problem, which is actually deleting samples. So if I go onto sample delete, you kind of have to, oh, I have 64. You have to delete samples individually. I haven't found a way to batch delete. What that basically means is if you want to remove them, you have to remove them individually. And it's just annoying. I mean, let me have a look. Initialize. Nope, that's initialize kit. Restore. No, that's restore from a backup. That's to reset the kits and the patterns. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's really a way for you to batch remove samples from the TR-6S outside of clicking and selecting each sample with the value knob and then going to OK and then deleting all of them. I haven't found a delete all option. But yeah, the TR-6S, yet again, really cool drum machine. I really like it. But its sample workflow is a little bit more complex than I first thought. So if you're using it for sampling, maybe not the best idea. It's more likely that you're going to use samples here to like bolster onto whatever you can synthesize with it. And if you wanted to really have a sampling powerhouse, you're much better getting something that's kind of built around that as opposed to built around using ACB and FM tones. At least from what I've seen. If you actually have a way to do a lot of these things batch that you know of, please let me know, because I would really be interested in finding out. If not, I think Roland, it would be cool if you actually made like some sort of like tone, like, I don't know, tone catalog app or something like that, that you could hook this up into your computer and then you could like program the TR-6S's like sample storage and also how they're organized so that you could kind of do it at least using a nicer input method for text and stuff on your computer as opposed to kind of having to do everything through the value knob because it's kind of a little bit annoying. But yeah, I hope this has been really useful. I'm hopefully going to edit this so that it's relatively short. But yeah, cool.